it seems like that the sentiment is the spontaneity is it has a direct correlation on the health of the sexual relationship. Hey, what's good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Buffet Podcast, brought to you once again by moi. I don't know. Moi?
Et toi.
Et toi?
Yeah, me and you, but moi.
Moi is me, right?
Yeah.
Moi, Brandan, and et toi,
Ciandra.
Yeah, I can't do that right now because the music ain't set up. I'm fucking it up already.
No,
it's
you're
okay.
not.
Nah, we're gonna keep this going. Yay! Welcome to episode 90. That's 90.
90.
Yeah, 90. Yep.
Counseling and consulting.
See what you did there. That's my company. I do therapy, mental health. All at me. DC, Texas.
A little self-promotion.
A little self-promotion. Why can't
Well, now that you said that, I feel like I haven't done the intro in a while. We started this podcast to review the questions we have asked and continue to ask each other since we started dating. We coming up on tree.
Years. 2 down, coming up on tree.
Yeah. These conversations will range from lighthearted and comical to serious and deep. We both have backgrounds in counseling and are young Black professionals.
Counseling, coaching, consulting, all those things.
All the things in the Houston, Texas area. We know just enough to come up with the questions, but not enough to have all the answers. So we invite you to participate in this conversation with us.
Because this is a conversation.
It is.
We're trying.
We are.
All right. That being said, let us
amuse bouche it.
Let's get it started in here. Hey.
Okay.
Copyright.
So I take it from a.
Oh, I realize that this doesn't have any. It doesn't have any words. Sorry, y'all. I thought I like.
They're making people read.
I know.
Wow.
Very ghetto.
Wow.
Very ghetto.
Maybe this is targeted at a hearing impaired audience.
Could be.
I mean, if that was true, why would it have?
I mean, it was very action based. You had to like look at it to be able to get it. So I'll use another one.
Found. They're made.
Sometimes.
If soulmates do exist, they're not found. They're made. People meet, they get a good feeling, and then they get to work building a relationship. And with enough time and love and effort, two people become one thing. If soulmates do exist, they're not found. They're made.
Isn't that from what's that TV show?
The Good Place.
The Good Place.
And I don't know if that character is God or if he's
from
an
the
angel.
from the little I've seen. I think he's an angel, but I didn't get too deep in it. I heard it got interesting. Further on you got into it, but okay, cool beans.
What do you think about that?
That soulmates are
made, not found.
I like it. I think there's definitely some truth to it. That, yeah, I definitely think there's some truth to it because I just think about we got phrases for like like the right person, wrong time, or like I've heard or seen like about relationships that they love each other dearly and they bangs with each other, but like for whatever reason it's like it's not the right. Just not the right fit. Just something, just not, not working out. Just like they pass each other. So I definitely do believe that it is something that, what was it? Made? Mm-hmm. Yeah, that it is made through effort. That being said, I think there should, or there's probably is, I guess, a foundational compatibility that is there that you can build off of in order to build that, soulmatiness, I guess.
Soulmatiness.
If you don't want some wild, convoluted, traumatic experience in order to forge y'all together.
I mean, are we encouraging people to
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. So I'm saying I think those base things need to be there in order for like it to occur in a smoothest way possible, so to speak, as opposed to like trauma bonding. That's like I wouldn't recommend it because the word trauma does not imply anything good.
Agreed. Yeah, I thought this clip was interesting and decided to send it to the podcast because I wanted to hear your thought on it. Because I think before I asked you if you believed in the one, and you told me no.
Yeah, did I believe that there's like our soulmates like exist somewhere out in the world that's like is just made specifically for you, and once you find them, and that's it. Like, no, I don't believe in that. I don't believe in that. That seems like a play. Like, who would do that? Like, why would that wouldn't make any sense. Why would your other half be somewhere where you won't be able to get in contact with her or access her, or like they're born in the wrong decade? So it makes more sense from a logical, biological, evolutionary methodology that it is something that you meet. Like, if it wasn't so, well, I'm gonna say if it wasn't so, like, what's a caveman gonna be doing if the caveman's soulmate is a cave woman on the other side of Pangea? I mean, caveman won Pangea, but you get what I'm trying to say. Mm-hmm. My soulmate is in the Americas that won't be discovered for another 10,000 years. Good luck.
Well, I don't know if I think that it's that. I don't necessarily believe in like my soulmate exists someplace in cosmic space and time, but we may not have existed in the right time and place together.
Okay.
But I guess I do think that there, much like people believe in timing, like, you know, like what you were saying earlier, right time, right place. I do think that you have an opportunity, maybe a window to meet the person that is right for you. And within that window, it's like up to you to be receptive and open to like connecting with that person and pursuing the connection, which is why I believe that the part that he said of like it's made is a very important distinction. Like, we can connect with people all the time, or like there's a possibility to have like loose connections with people, meet people, network with people, all of those things. But the difference between like a person who is regret and the person who becomes your person is the pursuit and then the commitment and follow through with that pursuit. So I agree with you that I think believing that it's a 1 in a million chance that you're going to meet the person that you're supposed to be with is in some regards a limiting belief, because that means that the person that you're with had to defy all these odds in order for you to be with them. And I don't necessarily think that that's true. Like, I think that you have multiple opportunities and times, or at least enough, because if you only want one person, unless you're like interested in, I was going to call it polygamy, but what do they call it now?
Poly?
Yes, there we go. Unless you're poly and you want to meet multiple people, so you need the opportunity to meet multiple people. If you only got to meet one person, I think you probably have some opportunity to meet a person that you could be interested in. And the difference between interest and successful or long-term relationship is the consistency and the pursuit. And it does take two people. I'm not saying that like you're completely responsible if it doesn't flourish in the way that you're imagining it flourishing, but you're going to I believe at least that you're going to have that opportunity. And to me, that's a helpful belief to have, because it means that we can all have it.
And it also means that like, if you feel like you found it, you're not going to be like, I got to cling to it, even if it's not necessarily healthy for me, because like, what are the odds of me finding this is supposed to be my soulmate? I got to supposed to make this work. And, you know, as opposed to being like, nah, I can make another you.
Damn. You must not know about me.
Mm-hmm.
You must not know about me.
Is that a Beyonce?
It is. I can find another you in a minute. Matter of fact, he'll be here in a minute.
Same thing on the other side as well. But yeah, I mean, that being said, I do believe that there's a lot of scarcity mindset when it comes to relationships, and I don't think that society or what we're seeing of it is making it look better or making it seem like there's a more of an abundance out there. So I can understand where some people are coming from, where it's just like they're just demoralized just from the perspective. Or if you date long enough, that within itself can be demoralizing if you allow it, if you don't take into the accountability of like, why do you keep coming across these shitty people? You know what I'm saying? Like dating shouldn't be dude, you shouldn't. I would say, I would hope that the reason that any potential relationship didn't happen with people you were dating wasn't just because the other person was a piece of shit. Maybe it was just some incompatibility. They were still cool people, but it was just like the spark wasn't there. You know what I'm saying? Like, not people that was like, I kind of hope I never see these people again type of. If that's the motto, or if that's the experiences that you've been having all your life, like that means that there's something going on perhaps on your side that is attracting or you are being attracted to these people. Mm-hmm. So like, I will hope that your dating experience has been a mixture of like, okay, I definitely met some cool people. I'm getting close. I feel like I'm getting close. I'm narrowing it down type situation, and not as opposed to like, yo, throw the whole pool away.
I mean, it'd be like that.
Sometimes it feel like that.
Some bad catches out there that you're like, I see why you here.
I ain't gonna hold you.
She threw you back. I'm gonna throw you back too.
I ain't gonna hold you. That is true. That is very true. I've definitely personally experienced it. I know you have. Mm-hmm. And by you also mean you personally and you as like women. I know that's absolutely true. I just hope that you can recognize it sooner. At this point, as you mature and see these things, like you're able to like spot the bullshit and call it for what it is, and move accordingly, and not be like, oh, maybe it'll change.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's fair. I was thinking about this soulmate thing and, the soulmates being made as it relates to the first video that I wanted to show you.
All right.
So the first video that I wanted to show was about sexual desire, and it had a term in there that I don't think I had ever heard before. The Bluetooth part is already turned down. I didn't want y'all to have to hear the music. It's talking about responsive desire versus spontaneous desire. And so to explain, responsive desire is when you can respond well to someone like turning you on, right? Like maybe they're touching you, maybe they're kissing you, something like that, like triggers you to be in the mood and then go forward in whatever sexual activity. And then spontaneous desire is like all of a sudden, like spontaneous combustion, like I'm on you. Like we just had a really good night out at dinner or something. And like immediately, as soon as we get back, we're ripping each other's clothes off and it's like go time.
Brunch.
What about brunch?
Dude, the mimosas get into it.
Oh yeah. Like that idea.
Hennessy.
And so one of the things that it talks about in the video is this idea that spontaneous desire is the thing that we see most often in media. It's the thing that we think is normal. It's the thing that we think, oh, everybody has spontaneous desire because this is how it is. But spontaneous desire is typically more normal early in your relationship. You're still new. There's all these chemistry,
it's so
all
novel.
These good yeah, like you just want to get it.
You just be in there.
Yeah. And then it starts to wane and you get to more responsive desire. And for some people, that translates into a lack of desire. It's like, oh, you don't desire me in the same way, or you don't desire me at all. It's only if I do this, or like you're just responding to me. Even the idea of starfishing, right? Like starfishing could be a little bit responsive desire. It's like, I'm responding to you, but maybe not in the way that you want. And so I wanted to hear from you, especially as it relates to that first question around like soulmates being made. Do you think like having this knowledge of desire, spontaneous versus responsive desire, might do something
for people
in relationships? But I didn't like how closed that question was. I want to open it up some more, but you answer that first part.
It makes a lot of sense. Like I've never heard of I don't recall hearing or knowing too much about spontaneous versus responsive sexual drive, but hearing it and seeing and hearing their definition, I probably end up playing that part of the video like as you were talking and explaining it. But it makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense. I ain't gonna hold you. Sometimes I be wondering, I'm like, yo, is my sex drive going down to like nothing? I feel Gucci, but then as soon as I feel like you trying to get it down, I'm like, okay, I'm ready. I can do some unless we like exhausted. I could do some, but I'm like, why? Like, how come I don't get the urges often as I used to when we first started getting on? It's like, am I falling out of sexual desire? I'm like, no, that's not true. I see that thing, and I'd be like, yeah, buddy. So that helps explain a lot. It explains a lot and it makes a lot of sense, and I agree with it. The only issue, or not necessarily issue, the only, I guess, conundrum I would have for it is that if you're both if you're both in a responsive desire state, how are you going to get there without somebody initiating?
Well, that's where I think that you see couples who have been married long term start to develop routines around sex. That's why it's like we're gonna have sex on Tuesdays,
That's
or
true.
we in order to what were they called? Red and yellow push and pull, something from
Flags?
Marriage Be Hard.
Flags? Oh, accelerators and
Yes,
brakes or something like that?
accelerators and brakes. You start to be thoughtful about like, okay, I need this many accelerators in a day for me to like to have the spontaneous thought to be able to get you to be responsive, or vice versa. I think that that's where we see the success of long-term relationships kind of shine, is when you start to be intentional about the things that used to come naturally, and you don't treat that as a sign that something is wrong. Because I do think that our typical response is like, this thing has changed, something is wrong because this thing has changed. And it's like, no, this thing has changed because, one, that's kind of like the natural flow of things. Like, I see you all the time. I see you in various states. Not all of those states are sexy states. And it's like, to get into the sex mindset in that spontaneous way, it often is fueled by like sexy things. Like, we're going out on a date. It was so nice to romance and wine and whatever. And now I'm feeling the sex vibes versus a feeling that is like more related to like deep love and care for you. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. Like, I don't feel less attracted to you than when I first started dating you. But I do recognize that we don't have as much sex, or aren't going to have spontaneous desire sex as often.
That's true.
Because it's seasonal too. Like, I think that's another part of it. Like, once you're in a long-term relationship, it's like, in this season, with whatever else I have going on in my life, we're going to have to schedule it in order to make it make sense. And then in another season, it might be like, hey, I'm on you.
It's 2:01 p.m.
Yeah.
So I'm just let's get it.
And that could be month to month. The season doesn't even have to be a long season.
True.
Like,
it could be week to week, month to month.
Hour to hour.
Yeah, hour to hour. That's true.
It could break down that small.
That's true. Yeah. I definitely hear and understand that. I have something else I was going to say, but it completely slipped my mind.
No, come back.
Keep going.
Baby, come back. But yeah, I think that's an important distinction, and something that I think we don't tell younger couples enough.
Don't tell. You didn't tell us.
They definitely didn't tell us. I'm grateful for my homegirls who are in relationships who have been in relationships around about the same amount of time as us, or even longer, because it's helpful to hear from them. Like, yeah, that's normal.
That's regular.
Like, y'all are fine. Nothing is wrong. You don't have any cause for concern.
Oh, I ain't got nobody to really.
Men don't talk about this. Y'all don't say?
No, we don't. I mean, yeah, we don't. We don't be talking about this like that. And I'm not even sure. Well, no one's really tried. So we'll see. We'll see. And also, it's only like me and Robin, in a relationship, waiting on the last two holdouts to stop playing around. But they got. I don't know. They still got something in them.
Other pursuits
they got going on for them, understandably. So now, the back to what I had lost my train of thought as. I was like, oh yeah, I wanted to say that as soon as you said routine, I knew people was like, that's a turn off all by itself for a lot of people. I for some reason we have been, I guess, taught or to. I don't know, have a distaste for routine when it comes to sex. Like it's supposed to be like spontaneous and all consuming. And if you got to schedule sex, then do you even really, love me, or are you really attracted to me? Or are you just doing this as like, are you checking something off your to-do list type situation? And I feel it seems like that the sentiment is the spontaneity is. It has a direct correlation on the health of the sexual relationship.
I don't think that's true at all. But another reason that I don't think that is true is because why is sex so different from all these other areas of our life? We need routine in order to be able. You trying to move me closer?
Yeah, so you closer.
Come closer.
You didn't move anything.
Brandon doesn't want this podcast to be successful.
It is successful. This is real life. Real life.
We got the real thing.
Stop. I wanted to see the real thing. That's a quick
Love is Blind.
Love Blind reference. Yeah, last season. Oh, Kwame.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You threw off my train of thought. But I was saying about routine. We have routine in all these other areas of our life because routines contribute to success.
It do.
Habits contribute to health and success.
Shout out James Clear.
Yeah, you need a good process in order to be able to get good outcomes. And maybe it's not like, I saw an Instagram reel, it must have been a week or so ago, of a woman talking about women in long-term relationships avoiding other forms of physical intimacy because they don't necessarily want it to lead to sex. So if you kiss me, if you touch me, something like that, I think you're trying to have sex with me, and I avoid the kiss and the touch, and then we get into a space where we like don't kiss and touch anymore outside of sex, right? And that's not healthy. So this particular lady in the video talks about how her and her husband developed a routine of like making out at night. Just for the sake of making out, just for the sake of them being able to kiss and touch each other. And sometimes it leads to sex and sometimes it doesn't lead to sex, but it at least helps with that physical intimacy and not having the fear of like, oh my gosh, if we do anything physical, it ultimately has to lead to sex, and I'm tired or something else is going on and I don't want to be the person who says no, so I have to kill it right now immediately so you don't get any ideas and it leads to something, negative or a bigger fight of like, you turned me down, you rejected me X amount of times this week, and it's like, no, I just didn't want you to kiss me because I thought you wanted to have sex with me. So I stopped it earlier.
Nah, that's not acceptable. You need to communicate that. Don't you ever in your life just be like, oh, I'm just going to start avoiding any type of physical contact with you. So that's a personal attack. That's a personal attack on me. Like, I'm going to think what you just said. Like, you turned me down. What's going on? I feel like my emotions are going to be heightened, and then it's going to take for you to explain it, and then I'm going to be frustrated that you didn't communicate your need ahead of time. Like, this is something you could say. Like, the explanation will probably cause at worst definitely a lesser fight than if you just like, I'm just going to make this unilateral decision of avoiding any kind of any kind of intimacy because I don't want it to lead to sex, and then wait for your partner to get frustrated enough to snap at you because of it.
That's true.
So now you got to recover from that and then run it back to the explanation, which is probably going to cause another issue. So it's like
and you still haven't solved the problem.
And you still haven't solved. Yeah. So I was like, I'm gonna need that. I'm gonna need that to be communicated. That is an issue. That could be an issue. Excuse me.
I mean, but I do think that it is an issue in some relationships.
Absolutely.
I feel like when that happens, one of them has an expectation for spontaneous desire or at least responsive desire, and that's not even happening for the other person. So at least to get into the habit of some responsive desire, to build up the intimacy that's required for desire, I think having a routine is a great way to be able to solve that. Because we've talked multiple times about differences in sex drives. Like, you want to have it more than I do. I want to have it less, or I want to have it more, whatever it is. We talked about the 24-hour rule. All of those things kind of like play into developing a routine to allow for your sex life to be healthy and fulfilling for both parties. And the routine aspect of it can look different for each person. It doesn't have to be like routine in the sense of like we only have sex
Monday,
on
Wednesday,
Tuesday.
Friday. It's like Thursday.
Right. It's not that. It's not that rigid, but it is a way to guarantee that this need is being met for both parties and gives you the space to have physical intimacy, which is a need in your relationship. Especially if you're in a monogamous relationship, if you don't expect the person that you're with to get it from any place else,
you got to come up off them cheeks.
Yeah, you're going to have to figure out some type of routine, structure, something to make sure that the itch is scratched. Or you need to buy them a whole box of sex toys and just be like, go to town. I'm going to leave the house for a couple of hours tonight. You just do whatever you need to do.
Hopefully your partner agrees to that.
What?
To like take the subpar substitute of sex toys. It's like, oh yeah, I don't want to give you no pipe. Here's a dildo, have fun. I'll be back. How long is that going to be okay for before it's like, nah, I signed up for real.
That's true.
98.6 degrees.
Human flesh.
Yeah, human. Yeah.
I want your sweat on my forehead.
And vice versa. Like, hey, I signed up for I've signed up for the real grip.
The real thing.
The real grip that's been developed over millennia of evolution. I need that. But Yeah. As for the routine, maybe you do need the Monday, Wednesday, Friday because it's just not happening at all. Maybe you need to start with that, and then as y'all get into it, y'all can kind of loosen it up. Just like I'm just kind of equating it to, you starting a new workout routine. Sometimes you need to start. You need to start very strict.
Be very rigid.
You'll be very rigid and strict until it turns into a habit, until you get comfortable, until you start enjoying it, and then you can start, freestyling it. By that point, you probably just, you'll recognize you just keep doing it as you were.
Mm-hmm.
So same thing for the sex. We're willing to regimentize, develop a routine for just about anything in our lives. But then when it comes around to sex, suddenly you want to be like, nah, that's something I just want that to come, hit me from the clear blue sky, and I'm just going to be ready and willing and able to do it at whatever. Like, nah, I mean, sure. I mean, if that works for you, that works for you. But at some point, what I'm saying. And if it's important to you, like schedule it if you have to. If you are able to, if you have a schedule for it, but you're able to work around it, or it turns out that you don't need it, say, oh yeah, I'm just going. At the very least, I'm going to hit her up on Tuesday and Thursday just because of what my schedule looked like. And then something happened, you say, and you got it in on Monday and Sunday, and then Tuesday and Wednesday. Maybe you don't need the that exact schedule that week, but keep it, just in, because at some point it's going to be a week or something where your time ain't going to work out that way.
Yeah. And you're going to need to fall back on the routine.
Mm-hmm.
Now I want to shift gears a little bit.
Okay.
As we're thinking about this, of course, responsive versus spontaneous desire is a part of it. But I feel like there are other things that are a part of what happens in like long-term romantic relationships that impede sex. Like the health of their sex life.
Okay.
I'm curious to hear from your perspective what those things are.
Things that impede the health of the sex. By health, you mean like the frequency in which they do it?
Mm-hmm.
Ooh. Depends on who.
It always depends.
It always depends. It could be like your schedule is terrible, where like you just coming home exhausted all the time, not getting enough rest outside of it. It could be overcommitted to overcommitment or over prioritization of other aspects of your life. Maybe spending too much time at work, giving too much time to other things that you probably wouldn't list as important as sex and intimacy with your partner, but through circumstance or whatever fuckery and routine happens, you end up spending all that time. Like I'm thinking like people who just had a kid or something like that, and suddenly the world revolves around a kid, which is I can kind of understand to a certain extent, but it happens to the point where you just forget about each other and each other's needs, and then like a year or something went by, and then you realize like you've maybe had sex maybe one time or two times during that whole time, and it was like that medium swole dick, that tired, like hit it from the side while falling asleep sex, which has its place, of course. I mean, it has its place, I'm sure, but like, yeah, it'll be something like that. It can be any myriad of reasons. It could be a bunch of health issues, popping up, inconveniences or something like that. So, I mean, shit, it can be any reason. So, I mean, are you specifying like things that can impede the health of the relationship in regards to the actual relationship, like what's going on within the two people in the relationship, or
No.
you just mean like there's things in the world that can put barriers in place for you having a regular sex?
Yeah, I just meant things that could be happening on the individual or relationship level that are impacting the health of your sex life.
Sorry.
Sorry, man. One of the things that I was thinking about, especially for couples in situations like us who like have recently moved into together, there's like all this increased access.
That's true.
And I feel like when we did not live together,
scarcity mindset. Yeah,
there was like this feeling of I'm only going to see you for these many days, and in these many days, you're gonna have to do something. You're gonna have to put out. If there's maybe something could be wrong medically, I'll allow it. But other than that, it's like a guaranteed time frame.
I need that. Yeah.
Yeah. And probably multiple times. But like now that we have so much increased access to each other, I do think that contributes to it as well. It's like,
it'll happen.
If not today, tomorrow.
It'll happen.
Tomorrow, the day after that.
But then that can pretend the possibility And I feel like we followed into that a couple times, where it's just like, it'll happen, and then like it'll happen, and I'm gonna do it tomorrow, and then tomorrow happens, and then something else happened, and like now I'm exhausted, or you're exhausted, and you just don't. It's not in the mood, and it's all right. We get it tomorrow, and something else happened. So that I think that's how we develop. Why put off? What put off? Don't put off for tomorrow. What you can do today? Clap cheeks today, or something like that. Whatever it was.
Clap cheeks today. Definitely that mindset, and this 24-hour, 48-hour rule has also been really helpful for the routine.
You got 24, 48 hours,
and you say no. You got this much time to make your no a yes.
Mm-hmm. You got to come back with a counter.
Mm-hmm.
Outside of health-related reasons, and at that point, I don't think it's 24, 48 hours. It's 28, 44, 48 hours, or the next available healthy day, whichever comes first.
Yeah. What were you gonna say though beforehand?
Oh, I was gonna come up with like just life stresses, get in the way, could potentially get in the way of the intimacy. But I think I kind of touched on that when I said like you have kids, difficulty going with your family in one way or another. I was going to say health issues, gain weight, lose weight, you get a little insecure about how you look. I've heard I know that's one of the major reasons that like sex kind of declines with from couples, especially over time, especially with kids and things like that. They start feeling insecure, don't feel like they're sexy anymore, don't want to really put themselves in that position, which leads to don't kiss me because it's gonna lead to sex. I don't want to get naked. I feel la da da da. So it can be any myriad of reasons. But at the end of the day, those reasons need to be communicated because it is a problem that we should work on together.
Yeah, we're a team.
Mm-hmm. Team.
Mm-hmm.
All right, cool. We good?
Yep.
We good? Hey, I feel like this was a quick, succinct episode about sex and desire, which I know isn't really talked. Like you said, it's not really talked about a lot from people who are in relationships. I certainly didn't get any of that information from my parents, but but it's like. Is that information that you wanted to get from your parents, I guess?
No, not necessarily.
Yeah, but it's no messaging at all. There's no why is there not like a sex education channel or some shit like that? We got channels for every fucking thing, but we ain't got it on any of the things why can I go and get financial literacy information? We can't now on YouTube. So I guess, YouTube, everybody, search YouTube. They probably got something on it about these topics anymore, but I'm a little bit frustrated that, our generation and the ones before us, we didn't have that luxury of the the internet and TikTok and bringing all this information straight to our eyes and kind of helping us navigate the world better in a sense of just like it kind of takes like a lot of the weight off of us with the right information. With the right information,
there's so much information.
Yeah.
You have to have a different level of discernment.
Yeah. So at the same time, I think because of that. I personally think that we have a lot of I feel like the millennials of our age and older have a great bullshitometer when it comes to that sounds like bullshit. I could be come way off because you can also see people who fall for stupid shit too. But I just feel like we are more equipped to have that built in this don't sound all the way. I believe it maybe a little bit, but it might be a little bit of bullshit here. But at the same time, a lot of the useful information for life was missing and was not communicated to us. So now this is us trying to pay it forward, trying to put it on to all of our friends and people who bangs with us. And hopefully y'all can tell other people and maybe that can help somebody's relationship.
Yeah. Hopefully it can help yours.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that was your final food for thought.
That was my food for thought.
And you spoke for both of us.
And that is okay. That being said, y'all, we appreciate y'all tuning in to another episode of the Buffet Podcast.
Yay! Booyaka.
And I am your host, co-host, one of the hosts, Brandan, with my real lovely partner.
Hey, y'all. Ciandra.
And like I said, thank y'all for tuning in to another episode 90 of the Buffet Podcast. If you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe and like the video so we can get these numbers going up and then help us with the algorithm. Peace.